We're going to go on our incredible water journey. As water moves through the water cycle of our planet, it takes on many forms. So the first thing we're going to do is open up our website, and I have Google Drawing open up here. So we're going to go through this 10 times. The first place I got assigned to start out was letter D. So I go ahead and click on D, and I started in a glacier. So I'm going to type in the word glacier here on my Google Drawing, and I can insert an image of a glacier. So first thing I'm going to do is just going to say move the photos to see how you got here. So this was your first stop on the water journey. So that is true. That is our first stop on the water journey. So we are in a glacier. So I'm going to insert an image of a glacier here to help me remember this part of the water journey. So I'm going to click insert, search the web. I'm going to type in glacier. And this picture is going to remind me of glacier. So I'm going to add that picture. And you can add any picture you want to add to a glacier. So I'm going to add that picture, and I'm going to put that picture right in here. It's okay if it's a little small. It's a little small in there. Okay, so then I'm going to go on my website here. I am a glacier, so I'm going to then click roll. And I'm going to roll number 6. So I'm going to click on number 6 and see where that brings me. So this is glacier again. Okay, so I'm going to get staying at a glacier. So I'm going to say this was my first stop. No, because this is my second. So I am in a glacier because I stayed in a glacier. So you got to look and see where you were before and where you are now. So I'm going to stay in the glacier. So I'm going to copy this row over here. And that makes sense because water is going to stay in a glacier for a long period of time. So I'm going to roll my dice again. I'm going to roll number 1. So I click on number 1, and I am brought to groundwater. So I'm going to type in groundwater here. Now, how did I get to groundwater? How did I get here? So I got here from a glacier. So I'm going to click this over until I got here from soil. No. I got here from the river. No. Not from the lake either. I got here from the glacier. It says you got here from the glacier. Water from glaciers sometimes melts directly into the groundwater because it never reaches the surface. Geothermal, or earth energy, is when the earth is warm. 6 feet below the ground is typically 52 degrees Fahrenheit or 11.1 degrees Celsius. It's kind of warm. This would cause ice to melt. Sometimes it is because of volcanic activity. So the water can go from the glacier directly to the groundwater. So I got to put a picture in there. So a picture for groundwater. Actually, I noticed that my glacier picture did not copy. So I'm going to copy my glacier picture. And then I'm going to look for a picture for groundwater. So when I think about groundwater, I think about water seeping into the ground. So I'm going to type in groundwater, and let's see what comes up with. Groundwater. What's going to help me? It said that it could come from a glacier too, or it could come from a volcano. So if I'm deep in the ground, I could get a volcano. And it's talking about energy and warmness. So I'm going to actually pick this picture. This picture reminds me of groundwater because it's the water that's underneath the glaciers from the mountains. And it's about that warm water underneath the ground that's going to melt that ice. So I'm going to put that picture there. Perfect. Now I'm going to roll again, and I'm going to get a number 3. So I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to click number 3. Oh, I got groundwater again. So the groundwater is going to stay. So I'm going to click over and say, how did I get here? It's not my first stop. I didn't get it from the soil or the river or the lake or the glacier. You stayed in groundwater. So it says groundwater or the aquifer can be many feet below ground. Some household wells are as deep as 400 feet. When water is that far down, it will spring up to the surface in a lake or a river, or it'll stay down there in the groundwater. So I'm going to copy my groundwater over into my document, and I'm going to copy this one here. And now I'm going to roll my dice again, and I'm going to get number 4. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to click on number 4. Now I'm in the groundwater. My water molecule is now in the groundwater, and I'm in groundwater again. So I'm going to go over from number 4 here, and I stayed in the groundwater. So I'm going to copy this again, and I'm going to copy my image. I'm going to roll my dice again, and I'm going to get number 6. So I'm going to click number 6, and I'm in a lake. I'm in a lake. So I went from the glacier and then I was in the groundwater for 3 rolls and now I'm in a lake. So how did I get here? I got to find out that I came from groundwater. So I didn't get here from the clouds. Get here from the water. You got here from groundwater. That's us. Springs or artisan wells push groundwater up to the surface. This is mainly due to the pressure from highlands or mountains and lowlands like valleys, or when quarriers dig too deep. So now I'm in a lake. So now I'm going to type in lake here. And I'm going to insert a picture of a lake. So I'm going to go insert, search the web. And I'm going to type in lake. The picture is going to remind me of a lake that had the water. Oh, that's a nice lake. So I'm going to pull that picture of that lake. And I'm going to resize that so my lake is in there. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to roll my dice again. A couple more rolls. I'm going to go number 6. It's okay if you keep getting the same number because you're coming there from a different source. So number 6, I'm in the lake and I stayed at the lake. So I'm going to flip through and see how did I get here. You stayed at the lake. Lakes are pretty big. Water not near the surface stays pretty cool and can be there for quite a while. So I'm going to copy my lake into my number 7. I'm going to copy and paste my picture there. And how I'm doing that quickly is Control D. I'm going to roll my dice again, and I'm going to roll number 1. So I'm going to click on number 1. And I'm going to go back to groundwater. But now it's different because I have to see how did I get here. I got here from the lake, not from the soil, not from the river. I got here from the lake. Water from lakes ends up in the groundwater when the water table drops. This typically happens during dry conditions. Ponds and lakes will lose some water in the months of dry weather like summer. Wetlands and vernal pools will dry up and be drier then too. So I'm going to go to my groundwater. So I'm going to just recycle and copy and paste this here. And I'm going to paste that picture again. And now I'm going to roll the dice. Number 4, where is my water journey heading to now? Groundwater. I'm staying in the groundwater. And now I'm in the groundwater. How did I get here? From groundwater. So I'm going to flip through and say from the groundwater. And it's because we're deep in the ground. So I'm going to copy this again. It's okay if you get the same one because water cycle can take on many different roles. Here's number 6 again. Let me click on number 6. And I'm going to go back to the lake. So how did I get to the lake? I got to the lake from the groundwater. So I'm going to flip through just to remind me what that, oh, there it is, from the groundwater. So I'm back in the lake. So for my water story, my water journey, I started off in the glacier. It was very, very cold. I stayed there for a long period of time, maybe even millions of years. Then I melted into the groundwater and I was heated up underneath the ground, possibly by a volcano or something underneath. Then I sprung up to a lake. Oh, I lost my lake drawing. Let me put him back. I sprung up into a lake. I stayed in the lake for a while. Then I melted and I seeped down back into the groundwater when the lake evaporated and the water went back into the ground. I was in the ground for a while and then I sprung back up into the lake. And that is my water journey.